My parents spent my college fund on my sister's wedding, so I left home. Cut them off, and they regret it every single day. I'm an 18-year-old guy, and for as long as I can remember, I've known exactly where I stand in my family. I'm the backup plan, not the favorite. Not the golden child, just the insurance policy if the real star ever needed a kidney or someone to blame. My older sister, Hannah, has been the sun in our house since the day she was born. Every room she walked into, people smiled wider. Every time she stumbled, my parents rushed in like EMTs. Me? I learned early how to patch myself up. When I was 6, I remember asking why she got a magician at her birthday party while I got a cake from the grocery store and a happy birthday text 2 hours late. My mom smiled and said, "She's special, honey. You'll understand when you're older." That line became the soundtrack of my childhood. I just didn't realize it would play on loop forever. I'd sit at her dance recitals with aching cheeks from fake smiling, clapping like I was proud while my stomach twisted. My report cards? A footnote compared to the standing ovations she got for twirling in a circle. "Why can't you be more like your sister?" was the daily chorus at dinner. Every mistake I made was a disappointment. Every mistake she made was character building. I started to wonder if I was adopted. I had darker hair, a quieter voice, and none of her sparkle. But I clung to the one thing they always said: "Your college fund is waiting. Just keep working hard." So I did. I stayed up late studying while she snuck out to parties. I held on to that promise like a lifeline. Turns out lifelines can snap when you need them most, and mine was already unraveling. I think the cruelest betrayals aren't the ones that happen suddenly. They're the ones that are built into your life, brick by brick, until one day you realize the whole foundation was fake. For me, that foundation was the college fund. Ever since I was 5, my parents made it clear, if I worked hard, if I stayed focused, if I didn't screw up like other boys my age, they had a fund set aside just for me. I can still hear my dad's voice. "Keep your head down, son. We've been saving for your future since before you could spell college." That promise became everything. While Hannah got praise for breathing, I clung to that one thing that was mine. I became the kid who always said no to parties, who stayed up until 2 a.m. memorizing equations, who quietly did chores no one noticed. Because every late night and sacrifice had a purpose, getting into my dream school, and I did. I remember the moment the acceptance letter came in the mail. My hands were shaking so badly I tore the envelope crooked. When I saw the words "Congratulations," I dropped to the floor. For the first time, I felt like I mattered. My mom cried happy tears. My dad hugged me, slapped my back, said he was proud. Hannah didn't even look up from her phone, but then things got weird. When I started talking about orientation fees and housing deposits, my parents suddenly had 100 excuses. "We'll handle it next week. Your father's dealing with some paperwork. There's no rush, sweetheart." They'd wave me off like I was asking for a favor, not the very thing they'd promised me my entire life. I told myself they were just busy. I told myself I was overthinking. But deep down, a knot was forming in my gut, tightening with every delay, and eventually, that knot would choke the truth out. My sister Hannah is 26, still lives at home, and hasn't paid rent a single day in her life. She's had more careers than I've had birthdays. Makeup artist, travel vlogger, wellness coach, you name it. Each one ends in disaster, and each time my parents are there to cushion her fall. They cover her credit card debt. They help her reset. They call it support. I call it delusion. Meanwhile, I work part-time at a grocery store, splitting tips and saving coins in a jar like some 1950s sitcom kid. No one bails me out. No one offers me do-overs. But for Hannah, there's always a safety net, woven tightly with my parents' blind loyalty. A few weeks after my acceptance letter arrived, I overheard an argument in the living room. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but when the words wedding venue and non-refundable deposit came up, I froze. Hannah was pacing, shouting, "I deserve a real wedding. Not some budget crap in a church basement." My mom tried to soothe her. "Sweetheart, it's just that things are tight right now." And then my dad, "Maybe we sell the china set, or take out that small loan we talked about." They were brainstorming how to give her a dream wedding, as if it were a national emergency. That same week, I asked if they'd mailed my tuition deposit. My mom sighed and said, "Not yet, honey. Hannah's going through a lot right now." I stared at her, stunned. Going through what exactly? Being loved too much? getting everything handed to her on a silver platter while I begged for scraps. They never once asked how their wedding plans were impacting my future, because in their eyes, Hannah wasn't just the golden child, she was the only one worth investing in. It was a random Tuesday afternoon, and I was looking for a pen. That's all I wanted, a stupid pen. I opened the kitchen drawer, the one stuffed with old manuals, rubber bands, and expired coupons. But tucked underneath a stack of takeout menus was a white envelope with my name scribbled in the top corner. I almost didn't open it. Part of me wishes I hadn't. Inside was a recent bank statement. Not addressed to me, just marked as college savings. I scanned it, not really expecting much. But then my eyes caught the balance, $326.41. I blinked. Reread it. My stomach dropped. This account was supposed to have tens of thousands in it. Years of saving. Birthday money, savings bonds, deposits they'd promised were just for school. I felt my throat close up. I walked straight to the living room, envelope in hand. My mom was folding laundry. Where's the money? I asked, my voice shaking. She looked up, confused. What money? I held up the envelope. My money. My college fund. Her face went pale. She reached for the paper, but I pulled it back. We needed it, she finally said, barely above a whisper. Needed it for what? Silence then. For Hannah's wedding. She deserves something beautiful. I swear I forgot how to breathe for a second. What about what I deserve? I snapped, louder than I meant. She didn't flinch. Didn't cry. Just looked at me with this cold calm and said, You're young. You'll figure something out. It felt like someone had reached into my chest and crushed whatever was left of my heart. Not because they spent the money, but because they didn't think twice, and that was the moment I stopped being their son. I was just collateral. The day of the wedding felt like walking into someone else's dream, and my personal nightmare. I didn't want to go. I begged not to, but my dad pulled the "don't ruin this for your sister" card, and my mom said, You're her brother. You'll be in the pictures forever. Don't be selfish. So there I was, standing stiff in a rented tux, pretending I hadn't just been robbed of my future. They made me a groomsman. Front row, smile wide, fake laugh louder. Every picture felt like a slap in the face. Hannah walked down the aisle in a designer gown that probably cost more than my first year of tuition. People gasped. My aunt whispered, She looks like a movie star. The venue had chandeliers, a string quartet, and customized cocktails named after the couple. Even the napkins had gold foil initials. I watched my parents beam with pride, glowing as guests complimented the fairy tale wedding. No one saw the lie beneath the lace and champagne. No one knew that the price of this spectacle was my future, shredded and spent on canapes and a damn flower wall. During the father-daughter dance, I stood in the corner near the open bar, fists clenched, jaw locked. My dad twirled her around, laughing like the world was perfect. I wanted to scream. Instead, I just stared. Not one person asked how I was doing. Not one guest noticed that the kid in the corner had a funeral in his eyes, a funeral for everything he worked for. Everything they promised. Everything they stole. And as the music swelled and the room applauded, I realized they weren't just celebrating a wedding. They were dancing on the grave of my future. The morning after the wedding, while champagne glasses still cluttered the counters and glitter littered the floor, I sat my parents down at the kitchen table. I was done pretending. Done swallowing the betrayal like it didn't burn. I can't afford to enroll, I said quietly. The dorm deposit deadline's in a week. I don't have it. I need help. My mom sighed like I'd just asked her to move a mountain. My dad didn't even look up from his coffee. Maybe take a gap year, he said casually. Or community college, my mom added. You'll save money. It's smart, really. Smart. That was the word they used when they spent my future on a DJ and imported orchids. You told me you were saving for this since I was 5. My voice cracked. I hated how small it sounded. My dad finally looked at me and shrugged. This is real life, son. Things come up, I blinked. Things come up? Like my sister demanding a live band instead of a playlist? Like the photo booth, the horse-drawn carriage, the monogrammed aisle runner? And then Hannah walked into the room, barefoot and smug in a silk robe. She looked at me, tilted her head, and said, You'll figure it out. You always do. That's when it hit me. They never intended to send me to college. The fund? It was a lie they kept alive just long enough to keep me compliant. a carrot on a stick while they poured every resource into their princess. I wasn't the backup plan. I was the contingency fund, and they'd already cashed me out. I left the same night, didn't make a scene, didn't throw a tantrum. I just went upstairs, packed my duffel bag, some clothes, my laptop, the acceptance letter I couldn't look at without choking, and walked out the front door. No one stopped me. No one even noticed I texted my friend Malik, "Can I crash at yours for a few days?" "Just need to get out." He replied in 2 minutes. "You already know. Pull up." That few days turned into 2 months on his couch, using a backpack as a pillow and pretending I didn't hear his mom whispering, "Poor kid," when she thought I was asleep. I picked up 2 part-time jobs, one at a gas station, one at a warehouse. My days became a blur of exhaustion, cheap coffee, and aching feet, and not once did my parents call. No, "Where are you?" No, "Are you okay?" Not even a text to say they missed me. I'd cry sometimes, quietly in the break room behind a stack of crates, or in the gas station bathroom after a rude customer barked at me for taking too long. Not because of the job or the sleep deprivation, but because I finally had to face the truth. I never mattered to them. Not really. But something shifted in me around week 5. I was sweeping the gas station floor when I caught my reflection in the glass freezer door. Tired, worn, but still standing. And I thought, maybe this pain is a beginning. Maybe love doesn't have to come from them. Maybe respect, self-respect, is something I can give myself. So I stopped waiting for an apology. I stopped hoping they'd reach out, and I started building a life they'd never get to be part of. Community college wasn't plan A, it wasn't even plan B. It was more like the emergency exit you don't notice until the building's already on fire, but it was open, and I ran through it. I scraped together the enrollment fee with 3 weeks' worth of gas station paychecks. The classes were local, the library smelled like dust and disappointment, and the cafeteria food was depressing, but it was mine. I was going to school. Not the dream, but not the end either. I worked nights at the warehouse, weekends at the station, slept in 4-hour chunks, ate ramen, skipped parties, said no to every want so I could say yes to one need, a future I built myself. It was brutal. But weirdly, I started to feel something I never felt in my own home. Pride. One day, after class, my English professor pulled me aside. "Your essays. They're raw, focused. There's a hunger in your writing. Ever thought about applying for a merit scholarship?" I laughed, like full body, can't breathe laughed. "Professor, I stock vending machines at 2 a.m. I don't think I'm what they're looking for." But he looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're exactly what they're looking for." For the first time in months, I felt something crack through the numbness. A real smile. Small but honest, I was still angry. Still bitter. But that anger wasn't eating me anymore. It was fueling me. Every shift, every sleepless night, every skipped meal was proof. I don't need them, and maybe, just maybe, this broken path would take me somewhere better than the one they paved, because what they never gave me. I was learning to give myself. It happened on a random Thursday night, during one of those 5-minute scroll breaks between work and study. I hadn't talked to my parents in months. I'd muted them on every platform, but curiosity is a cruel thing. I opened Facebook half out of boredom, and there it was, a photo. My mom, my dad, and Hannah, smiling in front of a 2-story suburban house with a big red "sold" sign. My mom's caption read, "So proud of our daughter and the life we helped her build. Family first. Blessed. New beginnings." My thumb froze. My heart actually skipped. I clicked the picture, zoomed in. It wasn't just a house. It was a new house, and then the pieces fell into place like a cruel puzzle. The college fund that was gone because of the wedding. The delays. The excuses. The way my parents acted like tuition was a burden, but never once cut back on anything for Hannah. They didn't just spend it on her wedding. They used my future to help buy her a home. My hands started shaking. Heat rose in my chest, hot and suffocating. I felt like the walls of my tiny apartment were closing in. I slammed my phone face down on the table. It vibrated from notifications, comments under the post. "She's so lucky to have such supportive parents. What a beautiful family." Goals. I couldn't take it. I grabbed the phone and hurled it at the wall. It shattered. Glass and plastic scattered across the floor like the pieces of everything I'd believed in. In that moment, something inside me went silent. No more waiting. No more hoping. No more maybe they'll change. That post wasn't just a picture. It was a declaration. They built her life with the bricks of my future, and that was the moment I decided I'm done. For good. I didn't just block their numbers. I erased them, deleted every photo, every text thread, every threadbare memory that clung like mold to the corners of my phone. I deactivated Facebook, shut down Instagram, tossed what was left of my cracked phone into a drawer I never opened again. If they wanted access to my life, they'd have to earn it, and they never would. I scraped together enough to move into a studio apartment across town. It wasn't much, just a mattress on the floor, a desk from Craigslist, and a secondhand kettle that whistled like it was crying. But it was mine. No framed pictures of a sister on every wall. No quiet digs about how I could be more like her. Just silence and freedom. A week later, the emails started. We didn't mean to hurt you. Family goes through things. You're overreacting. Please come home for the holidays. Every line read like manipulation wrapped in concern. I didn't reply. Not once, because I finally realized something no one had ever said out loud. You don't owe love to people who betrayed you, not even if they share your last name. Not even if they raised you. Not even if they insist it was all for the greater good. Some nights, I'd sit by the window with a cheap cup of instant coffee, listening to the distant sound of traffic and whisper to myself, they made their choice. I'm making mine. I wasn't angry anymore. Not in that fiery, screaming kind of way. This was quieter, colder, final. I didn't leave them. They let me go, piece by piece, year after year, until I finally set myself free, and for the first time in my life, I felt peace. It had been almost a year since I cut them off. I was grinding, slowly building something out of the ruins. My grades were strong. I'd saved enough to finally buy a used laptop that didn't crash every time I opened 2 tabs. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine. Then Malik pulled me aside one night after class. Hey, you hear about your sister? No, I said flatly. I don't keep tabs on strangers. He hesitated. She's pregnant. Her husband left. Rumor is, the house is being foreclosed. I didn't say anything at first. I felt like someone had unplugged me. Just stood there, numb. Then came the first message from Mom. We need to talk. Please, it's urgent. Then another. Dad, your sister's going through a lot. She could really use her brother right now. And then the one that made my blood boil. We're still family. We need you. Oh, now I'm family? Now that the golden child's shine wore off, now that the house they built on my future is crumbling, they remember I exist. I paced my apartment that night, heart thudding, fists clenched. The audacity. They had spent years reminding me I was second best, disposable, just the other one. They bled me dry and called it love. And now that their star is falling, their world collapsing, they want the backup plan to come save them. But I'm not a spare tire. I'm not the fallback son. I'm not their redemption arc. They had a choice. They chose her. Now they can live with that choice because the truth is, the only thing more painful than being forgotten is being remembered only when they need something. I told myself I wouldn't respond. But something in me, it wasn't forgiveness. Not even close, just this need to say it. Out loud, to their faces, so I agreed to meet. One time, neutral ground. A coffee shop halfway between the past and whatever future I was clawing toward. I got there early. Sat at the corner table, heart pounding like it wanted to crawl out of my chest. They arrived 5 minutes late. My mom looked smaller somehow. My dad looked exactly the same, like nothing had happened. We ordered nothing. My mom opened first. We just want to fix this. My dad added, You can't hold a grudge forever, son. I stared at them. Let the silence stretch until it felt sharp. Do you have any idea, I said, what it's like to be raised in a home where you're only visible when someone else is failing? My mom's eyes welled up. My dad stiffened. I worked my ass off for 18 years believing I was working towards something you promised me, and you took it. You handed it to someone who never earned it. And when I asked for help, you called me selfish. My dad muttered. It was complicated. Life's not fair. I cut him off. No, you're not fair. You raised 2 kids and only ever rooted for one. My mom reached out, tears spilling. We didn't mean to hurt you, but you did. I stood up. Calm. Clear. No anger left, just the heavy, beautiful weight of truth. You always made me feel invisible, I said. And now you want me to save you? They didn't have an answer. I didn't need one. I walked out, the bell over the cafe door jingling behind me. No drama, no shouting, just freedom. And for the first time, closure. For weeks after that meeting, I kept replaying it in my head, the way my mom cried, the way my dad didn't look me in the eye, the silence that followed, and for the first time in a long time. I started to question myself. Maybe I was being too harsh. Maybe people change. Maybe family, no matter how flawed, deserves a second chance. The thought clawed at me during long shifts and empty nights. I couldn't ignore it, so I did something I never thought I would. I opened my savings. Not all of it, just a small portion. Enough to help. Maybe cover a few bills. I wrote a check, folded it, slipped it into an envelope. My hand trembled as I sealed it. My chest ached the whole drive there. I didn't tell them I was coming. Just planned to slip it into the mailbox and leave. No conversations. No strings. But when I pulled up to the driveway, there it was. A different car parked outside. Newer than the last one. Used but clean. Shiny tires. Big red ribbon on the hood like it was some prize on a game show. And then I saw her, Hannah, laughing as she tossed her keys in the air. My mom standing beside her, smiling like nothing had ever gone wrong. I got out. Quietly walked up. Another car? I asked, holding up the envelope. My mom blinked, surprised to see me. Well, she needs to get around. She's got appointments, or the baby. It's hard. I looked down at the envelope in my hand. Then I looked at her. Right. It's always hard. For her, I tore the check in half, right in front of them, dropped the pieces on the porch, and walked away. That was the moment I stopped hoping they'd change and started changing for myself. It's been 5 years, 5 long, brutal, beautiful years. I graduated with honors last spring, double major, no debt. I walked across that stage with no family in the crowd, no applause from the people who raised me. But I didn't feel empty. I felt whole. Because everything I had, I built with my own 2 hands. Now I work at a top consulting firm. Nothing flashy, just solid, stable, something I'm proud to put my name on. I live in a modest apartment downtown. 2 rooms, plants I haven't killed, and a bookshelf full of everything I used to think was out of reach. But the part that matters most? Every Thursday night, I volunteer at the same community college that gave me my start. I mentor first-gen students, kids like me who feel like they're running uphill barefoot while the world cheers for someone else. I tell them the truth, even when it hurts. I tell them they're allowed to grieve. And they're allowed to rise anyway. I speak at workshops, answer DMs from scared students, stay after class for the ones who whisper, "I feel invisible at home," because I know that feeling. I lived it, and I survived it. Sometimes late at night, I sit on my tiny balcony, watching the city lights blink like quiet stars. I sip cheap tea and whisper to myself, turns out I never needed them. They just needed me, when it was too late. And the silence that follows? It's not lonely. It's peace, earned. All those years they spend investing in someone else? They forgot the real asset was the boy they overlooked. And he turned out just fine. The letter came on a Tuesday, ordinary envelope. No return address. Just my name scribbled in my mother's handwriting. I'd recognize those loopy L's anywhere. For a moment, I didn't move. Just stared at it like it might explode. Then I opened it slowly, careful not to tear the paper inside. It was handwritten. 3 pages, blue ink, smudged in spots. We regret what we did. We miss you. Your sister misses you. Please come home. You're still our son. They didn't ask for money. They didn't demand anything. It wasn't angry. It was soft, apologetic, almost human. The last line stopped me cold. Maybe we didn't know how to love you the right way. But we never stopped. It was signed by both of them. Their names side by side like it was a birthday card. I sat with it for a while, folded it, unfolded it, thought about writing back, thought about picking up the phone. But I didn't. I didn't tear it up. I didn't burn it. I just slid it into the back of my drawer, between an old notebook and a photo from college I actually liked. Because here's the truth. I don't hate them. I just don't belong to them anymore. I've built a life that isn't rooted in pain or guilt or conditional love. I've learned that sometimes healing doesn't look like reconciliation. Sometimes it looks like quiet distance. Like silence. And silence in its own way is a language too. A boundary. A sentence without punctuation. Let regret be their teacher, I whispered, closing the drawer. Silence is mine. And that was enough. I'm sitting on a weathered park bench, just as the sun dips behind the trees, washing the sky in amber and soft fire. My laptop's beside me, half open, the screen glowing with the title of a speech I've been asked to give next week. How to love yourself when your family won't. Funny how full circle it all feels. I pause, fingers hovering over the keyboard, letting the breeze cool my skin. Kids are laughing in the distance. Somewhere a dog barks. Life moves on, gentle and unbothered. I think about that kid I used to be. The one who measured his worth in parental nods and withheld praise. The one who thought love had to be earned through silence and sacrifice. He's gone now. And in his place stands someone whole. Someone free, not because I got revenge, not because they begged for me back, but because I chose myself when no one else did. I glance at the screen again, then whisper the words I plan to open with. If they only show up when they need you, it's not love. It's convenience. And you're allowed to walk away from that. You're allowed to let them miss you. You're allowed to be the lesson they never learned, because some families build you, others break you. And a few, they break you just enough for you to rebuild yourself stronger. I closed the laptop. Let the last of the light warm my face. They called me the backup plan, the spare son, the afterthought, but now I'm the man they can't reach, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, peaceful, whole, finally, free.